do get to some action stuff, which I feel like has been, you know, the weakest aspect of the show. Not that it hasn't been all bad. I mean, there's some stuff that I felt they did enormously well here. Totally uncalled for. Just hit that guy in the face. What did he do? Marvel's latest show, Miss Marvel. They just released their 3rd episode this past Wednesday. And, you know, for myself, I've actually been really enjoying this show. And what I'm about to say is what other people have said. And it's not meant to be insulting in any capacity. Okay. But it kind of reminds me of a Disney Channel series.
No, I've thought that too. I said that. It reminded me more of a Hulu or Disney Channel series than a Marvel series.
Yeah, it kind of has the best of things like Boy Meets World and That's So Raven. And I realized, like, oh, this kind of took the aesthetic of Lizzie McGuire with Hilary Duff, where it's the animated characters and the animated stuff in the background.
Yeah, but there's more money to it than those.
Oh, most certainly.
And it's better, but it is more like those than it is any of the Marvel shows.
Yeah, and you know, and you're right. But that's why also I've been really liking it. It's funny. I've liked all the stuff with the family and exploring what their home life is like. And, you know, her relationships and, you know, that Peter Parker kid she's hanging out with all the time. Oh, yeah, clearly wants to fuck her. This is so obvious. More than...
She just made it Peter Parker.
Yeah, he is. He's Peter. I'm going to show you a scene where it's just like, oh, my God, he even sounds like Tom Holland.
He was supposed to, or he was in the running for Spider-Man.
Was he really?
That makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes perfect sense.
And he was kind of nailing it in those scenes.
Yeah.
He's like, I should have been Spider-Man. But despite that, you know, I really liked all that, and the superhero stuff I think is fine. Yeah. It's okay.
No,
Martin is not happy, and I think we're kind of on the same wavelength in regards to her powers because it's a huge departure. Yeah. But you know, before we kind of get into nitty-gritty details of this episode, much like with the Kenobi review, I want everyone to speak about their overall thoughts on this specific episode. For myself, it's still continuing down that line of being this just really good Disney Channel original movie series. I love that we're getting more scenes of her family. I mean, the dad and the mother and her brother who's getting married here and dealing with all the dysfunction. Again, I'm not mentioning any of the superhero content. I love all of that stuff. I think it's very funny and amusing. And yes, you have this mystery. You have some of your MCU stuff coming in there. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about. We have an extraordinarily important cameo that one excited me because, like, oh my God, this thing has been a part of Marvel Comics for years, and they've never touched on it in the films at all. And I don't know if you guys know about it, but it took me aback. I was like, holy shit, you finally have this thing in here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there you go. We're gonna find out. We're all gonna find out together. But I was like, finally, you're giving this thing justice. And Miss Marvel's the one to do it. But I've liked the show so far. The superhero stuff's a little wonky. I want to see how they're going to handle that in the future. But I like what they're doing with the characters, and I really like the family dynamic. But Martin, your overall thoughts on this particular episode?
I probably like this episode more than the last two, or at least more than the last one. And it does... It dives into the family. It's more getting into a wedding. It's always fun to see an Indian or Pakistani wedding because they're so elaborate. It gets so much into all that stuff that the actual Miss Marvel part almost is an afterthought. And like I said, I'm not a canon queen about what they do with these superheroes. Matter of fact, when they make changes, I embrace it because I was like, I've read this. I like to see other interpretations of it. That's why one of the reasons I love Moon Knight so much. I was like, yeah, I've been following Moon Knight forever, and I'm digging what's going on here. I will say with Miss Marvel, I'm not liking the change as much, in as much as I think the difference is what they've changed it to, I find less interesting than what it was. Right. If it as far as the powers go.
Yeah.
I am happy that now they're getting more into the origin of what her power is. Yeah. So that is something. It's enjoyable, but I'm still not excited about it.
It's leaving you wanting for the most part. Yeah. The whole thing of her powers, and I want to go ahead and give Vanny your time to talk about this episode. Do you think that they changed it because Marvel is still concerned about just hero stretching? Because for those who don't know, Miss Marvel, she has like a combination of powers between Mr. Fantastic and like I guess, Giant Man, where she literally says embiggen, and she can change like the size of her limbs.
Yes,
and
I mean
things.
it's not quite Mr. Fantastic. It's just parts of her body that will get big. Usually, mostly her fist,
Right.
or her legs if she has to jump or go a long distance. It's a weird looking thing.
It is.
But, and at first I was like, oh, I get it because it looks weird. But I was like, you know what? But that's still interesting. It's still different from everybody else's power.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, where it's just kind of hard light like jewels forming, I was like, that's pedestrian.
Yeah, it looks like just like gummies or something like that, like hardened gummies. It's and it looks cheap. That's the thing. You see
it looks like a really cheap effect to do.
Yeah, so I totally understand that. And the only thing I can think is they just feel like the stretching, they're not getting it right, or they feel like they can't get it right. But Vanny, your overall thoughts on this episode?
That's my same thing. I really think that they probably tried at one point during the early stages of development to give her the stretching powers from the comics, and it just didn't quite work. Or it just kind of still looks like the old like Fantastic Four films with actually now Captain America. But yeah, overall, like I'm the same boat. Like I think this has been a really fun like dramedy, and just seeing Kamala like interact with her family and kind of dealing with the back and forth of wanting to be embracing like her American roots, but also like living in a more conservative kind of household. I think that part's been downplayed a bit more in the TV show too. Because I actually just read the first volume of the comics for my Twitch channel.
Yeah.
And I was actually really impressed with just like how strict the parents were, but they still show that love and support for her. And this time they're a lot more forgiving. I guess because also they have less time to do it, so they need to like wrap up like the conflicts a little bit faster. Yeah, I think the one of the weirder things I saw, and I got a weird Spider-Man vibe, was when like during like the wedding scene, and she's trying to keep the door closed, so she like flicks out her hard light, but it looks like a spider web like slam. I was like, this looks,
I can see that.
it looks odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would almost rather prefer it just take out all the superpower stuff and just let it just be like her life. Like I think that would be way more interesting.
Right.
Again,
I care more about like is she gonna like like how's she gonna deal with her buddy going off to Caltech than I am more about like the Jin stuff.
Yeah. That's it. It's like we're finally getting into the origin. I was like, yeah, I guess.
I like to know
right.
she was an Inhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she went through the Genesis.
And which I didn't think I liked before, but now I was like, no, I preferred that. Man.
That's the thing, because I imagine Kevin Feige still has his, stuck in his craw about the whole Inhuman situation with
It's like we will not legitimize that.
Quality control. I get that, but at the same time, it is kind of like a slight disservice to Kamala Khan, who is one of the best Inhuman characters out there.
Amazing.
I think her and Miles Morales, I think, are two of Marvel's most recent creations that are the best, like in the last 10 or so years. I think they're really cool, and I love just how they act with the older heroes. They're not annoying. They're like, wow, they're competent, and they have so many dimensions to them. Which I appreciate. They're not just there to be one dimensional. Now, okay, we did overall thoughts, and we're getting nitty-gritty details. And the thing is, like, something immediately stood out to me in this episode that I think it's a big deal, and no one's talking about it because, now, Martin, I know you know the history of comics. I know the history of comics. Vanny, I think you know the history of comics. We're all comic book fans in here, so I'm kind of surprised you guys aren't freaking out about this particular cameo that we got.
Can you keep a secret? Ta-da!
Hostess fruit pies. Why is no one talking about this?
Okay, all right. I saw that, and I was like, you know what? If they can somehow work Twinkie the Kid into this, they will have my respect.
Vanny, do you know what this is?
No, I know the snack.
You don't know the history of Hostess fruit pies and comic books?
No.
Oh man!
Oh wait.
There's a long history. So Marvel had
through
this,
the 70s.
Yep, 70s, and I think into like the early 80s.
Yeah.
But they had these huge spreads within the comics themselves of the Incredible Hulk, Captain America, Spider-Man, Daredevil. Saving the day, or in this case, Hulk murdering countless people just to enjoy some Hostess fruit pies with some children. And I actually own a number of comics where they have like all of these in here.
No, it'd be a one-pager. And it'd be drawn by usually, I think, Sal Buscema, who was like one of their top comic book artists, or at least their most prolific. One of my favorites was with the Hulk, where he was minding his own business, and the Abomination and Wendigo just came out of nowhere and just teamed up on him and beat him into the ground and walked away, and his face is there smoking in the crater.
Oh, Jesus.
And then some kid comes and gives him a Hostess fruit pie, and now Hulk can go and get revenge on those guys.
I love shit like that. I think there's
But they did so many of them. It was a monthly thing.
There's another one too. Funny enough, with the Hulk, I think the Hulk and the Hostess Fruit Pie were the great ones.
Yeah.
But there was one where the Hulk is just being bullied by people and he's sad, and he like a kid's like, "Oh, Hulk, don't feel bad. We like you."
Yeah.
And they give him a Hostess Fruit Pie, and Hulk's like, "Hulk wishes people were like Hostess Fruit Pie."
Oh my god!
I mean, there's some great ones, and so I was like, oh my god, that was pretty cool that they brought that
That's nice.
back in this particular show. I mean,
Sure.
it's not any of the Marvel characters, but I love the dad. I think he's
he's
great.
a-
And look how
yeah.
happy he is. That's the same smile that Hulk had when those kids gave him that Hostess Fruit Pie.
Yep.
So I thought that was a fun little cameo.
Yeah. I know. I did catch that.
Yeah. I was wanting to see if anyone else did. It's of great importance. So, and who knows? They could strike a new brand deal in the future for all these other MCU films.
It did make me want to get a Hostess Pie afterwards.
Oh yeah, it did, and it's the strawberry. They're so what is he saying? They're so synthetic-y.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
he's not wrong.
Yeah, they're horrible for you.
The lemon ones are still good.
Ooh, Martin, he's still got him. He's still got him.
I haven't eaten one in years or a decade.
You're gonna get one
Those
after
are ones
this.
I liked.
We should have that maybe for the end of Miss Marvel. We'll eat Hostess Fruit Pies. But other than that big cameo, there was some other stuff too. There was some other stuff in this episode, and one of the things was apparently there are some extraterrestrials that are involved with Miss Marvel's origin.
Faria, Celine, I found it. I found the bangle.
So right there, that hand everyone's saying right now is a Kree hand.
Yeah.
Right.
And as we all know, Captain Marvel is part Kree or was raised by the Kree for a period of time.
Yeah, right.
People are saying like that's going to be one of the big connections to bring her in because the Kree have been on Earth, much like the Skrulls, as sleeper agents, and that's what she was going to be used for.
The Kree created the Inhumans.
Yeah. So there you go.
So they could, reconnect her with being an Inhuman.
Yeah, just Kevin Feige doing his own version of Inhumans, forgetting that TV series.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. What are these? So they have a name for these.
The Jinn.
The Jinn, right. But is
Oh,
there
the clandestine.
The clandestine, that's it.
Yeah.
Because there are these people that are trying to get back to their home dimension using seemingly Kree technology. Because that's what we find out. Because at least I read it as so much as this bracelet is Kree technology, and that's what it's being used for. And so that's why they're going after Kree, which I thought was interesting. Another thing too, I thought was cool because this is a flashback. We learned that the clandestine, that the Jinn, that they've been alive for decades, and that they're they're hundreds of years, but they look as they do,
Because of the Nor. Right?
Exactly, the Nor dimension, which is weird, timey-wimey nonsense. But they're saying like, we got to escape the British, but that temple doesn't belong to the British. And I thought, okay, this is really cool right here. So pausing it, those are the 10 rings.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And, if you guys remember, the 10 rings is the symbol of the Mandarin, Wenwu's organization from Shang-Chi. It's been featured in Iron Man, Iron Man 3, and everything like that. And, spoilers, Wenwu is dead. However, he was still alive during that period when they were looking for that stuff.
Right.
And one of the big mysteries of Shang-Chi is, okay, where are these rings from? And now it has everyone thinking, this is Kree technology. That's what it is. It's not really, Chinese mysticism or anything like that. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And because that's one of the big things that I think has been bothering people for this phase. I think us as well.
Yeah, this Phase 4 has felt very disjointed.
Disjointed, yes. And Kevin Feige, I feel like he's seen that criticism and said, Phase 5 is going to make a lot more sense. Because I guess they're going to wrap up Phase 4 soon, which is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do Thor: Love and Thunder. They got Black Panther, which very curious about how that's going to be. We don't know anything. That movie's coming out in November.
Okay.
Is it still?
November.
Yeah.
It's coming out in November. And
one trailer.
They're being very cagey about that. Which, I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
And then we got
Quantumania.
Guardians 3. And then Ant-Man Quantumania. And I think that's it, as far as we know. And then there's that Blade movie, which is that going to be end of season, or Phase 4?
Season 4?
Oh, and
Phase
Fantastic 4. And Fantastic Four.
Wait, Fantastic Four is which phase?
Phase 4.
It is?
Yeah, I
Still.
think they're considering to end Phase 4 with Fantastic Four.
Okay.
So, and that would make sense because it's
Yeah.
4 again.
Yeah.
Symmetry.
Exactly. But I'm like, okay, so maybe they're going to connect all this because his technology is Kree, her Kamala Khan's bracelet is Kree, so it's like it's all leading these objects to be somehow connected to this intergalactic space war. which it's like setting up.
Oh, the Kree-Skrull War.
Yes, Kree-Skrull War, which people are saying is going to eventually, because we also have the Nick Fury show, which is Secret Invasion, which is what's going to be about, which will be a prologue to, you know, the Kree-Skrull, but with Secret Invasion, where everyone is fighting against each other. This multi-dimensional war of all these different universes fighting against each other. We're bringing in people like Doom, who wants to lord over all of it.
Okay.
Which has got me excited, and we're just seeing like, okay, like this phase has been a little up in the air, but I'm like, all right, these are little clues, little niblets, if you will.
Right. I thought for sure this would link back to the Eternals, but.
Yeah,
maybe not.
No. You Kingo got to mention.
Well, I'm wondering, are the Eternals the new Inhumans, where they're like, that didn't really happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like they'd even know what they're going to do with the Eternals at this point. Because
there's still a giant celestial just hanging out in the ocean. Nobody's talking.
Nobody's talking.
Don't worry about that. We'll deal with that later. Yeah.
SeaWorld will take over for it.
It'll be fun.
Some slides.
You know, but you know, it's like, okay, that's a cool connection. So maybe they are actually building towards something. Yeah. It's just been it's been a little rough. Most certainly been a little rough with this phase. And hey, maybe by the end of phase 4, we'll get a sense of like what the direction is into phase 5. Because I'm still excited for the MCU, even though they've been kind of hit and miss recently, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you know, moving on, that's kind of been all the fun cameo stuff.
There was a Selvig mention too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's
Selvig.
right. Actually, that's a scene that we're going to be talking about a bit. But no, yeah, we do get that and talking about, because the Nord dimension is, you know, the where these people are from.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's that. But aside from all the cameos and things, we do have some like more wholesome content, some character building stuff, which I really liked. And one of the things I thought was pretty cool, because it's funny to me. Even in the MCU, you have Muslims still being harassed by the government.
Sure.
Despite being space aliens and wizards and all these creatures are like, shit, we're still getting messed with. But I like that, because, you know, oftentimes in a lot of pop culture and genre stuff, we often don't see people who practice, you know, Islam in the most positive light.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen them at all.
Right.
And so I actually like the show that we're seeing that. And we have Kamala Khan with this really great scene I wanted to highlight, talking to her Imam, which I guess is the equivalent of like a priest or a minister of the Islamic faith. And he totally gives her the whole, with great power comes great responsibility speech. But I think it works here very well.
Good. It's not a thing you are, Kamala. It is a thing you do.
It's not who you are, but what you do that defines you. So you watch Batman Begins. I see what you did there. But that's kind of the scenes I'm talking about, you know, in this show that I really like. And it's, you know, giving definition to these, you know, supporting even tertiary characters. You know, I personally liked it.
No, they've done a good job of supporting characters who came on where you think, oh, they're going to be a problem. And then it's like, oh, there's more dimension in them. They actually aren't bad.
Or they're going to be stereotypes.
Yes.
You know, which was, you know, it's always a fear for this kind of show. But I'm glad they're handling it well. And they're not like hang us over the head where it's like we're being because Disney and a lot of people like that, we're being cultural diverse.
I know.
We have our first gay character ever, even though it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, no, now, but they're always like a tertiary character, doesn't mean anything. But at least with this one, I feel like they have certain people in place where it feels earnest.
Sure.
It does.
You know, where so often it does not from Disney, and they're just trying to pat themselves in the back. I like how they're handling this.
I think part of it is because they are basing it so much off of that 2014 run of Miss Marvel, too, where that's such a huge part of the comic, is that dichotomy between her home life and a little bit of the superhero, and that starts to pick up more as the comics go along, too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they're sticking that close to the material. So that way you are endeared to everybody right off the bat.
Yeah, and I like that we're also seeing that like with her mother in this scene, which I thought was done very well. And I really like this actress. I always forget what her name is, but she was also in...
I just saw her name earlier today.
Yeah. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look it up because she does.
You got a computer in front of you.
Yeah, I know. I have too many computers. I get overwhelmed by it. But she was also in. Funny enough, we talk about Kumail Nanjiani in The Big Sick. She played his mother in that.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. But in here, she's showcasing her skills, and it's a really wholesome moment between mother and daughter.
I found the moss. I found Auntie Ruby and Humaira, and I let them love me.
And I really like that scene. I think that sends like just a really positive message and just you know representation. And again, it doesn't feel dismissive.
How could Kumail Nanjiani and this young girl both be her kids.
I know. Yeah. She's got it down. She's gonna corner the market of Pakistani mothers in film. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen another Pakistani mother in another movie. It's only been her. She's great. She's got her own little niche. But no, and she's good. And her whole chemistry of her on-screen husband, Mr. Fruit Pies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, that's what his name is now. I don't know his full name. He's Mr. Fruit Pies. Khan, Mr. Fruit Pies, Khan. But, and then, of course, with the brother, who was great throughout all these episodes. But then the other person I want to talk about, and we've already mentioned him before, is, I'm sorry, but this kid's Peter Parker. And he is so horny.
Maybe this is something I need to do. Something good.
I think I need to go.
His mannerisms are Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I can totally see how he, I mean, listen, I was like, oh my God, am I watching Tom Holland at some points during this scene? He's very good. He's very good, though.
He's very good.
But he's Spider-Man through and through.
He is.
I mean, he's Peter Parker, and
You're
I
right.
love that.
You're right. With all the inventions and everything.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. And, he wants her so bad.
I know.
He's like, he should go to college. He clearly is a genius, but despite
just
everything.
so want him to tell her so she can shoot him down and then he can move on with his life.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But he can't do it. That's part of it's why I think they might set him up to be a supervillain. There's just something about this. It's like that's what's gonna happen because she's like, "Oh, you're my best friend," and he's like, and she's hanging out with that sexy guy, and he's like, "Oh," and you just know what's gonna happen. I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be a Buddy from Incredible situation. He's gonna make all these inventions. He's gonna be Syndrome.
That is not the logical progression of that.
Marty, that's what happens. You love a girl, she doesn't love you, and you invent various gadgets to then destroy the world. Okay. When everyone's super, no one will be. That's how it works, Martin. But I think he's great. I love their dynamic anytime they're on screen, even though he's like, oh, God. I feel so sorry for him. But he's great. He's good. I could have seen him as Spider-Man. He does a really good job.
No, he'd be great.
He dances well, too.
He does dance well.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, in the scene. Yeah,
the wedding scene. Yeah,
I think that's a big reason Tom Holland won the role, just for his history of dancing and Billy Elliot.
Wow, that's right,
Because you see scenes of him where he's very nimble.
Yeah.
And I think that's what pushed him over.
And he took ballet classes, too. And he was like made... It's so funny because he was mocked at school for years because he took ballet. And now he's one of the highest paid actors ever. Now he's fucking Spider-Man. Yeah, I love that. That's great. After, kind of moving on from the more character-based stuff and the fun little cameos, we do get to some action stuff, which I feel like has been... the weakest aspect of the show. Not that it hasn't been all bad. I mean, there's some stuff that I felt they did enormously well here.
You don't want to play Bon Jovi, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Because it's New Jersey.
Oh, that makes sense. But I just love it in that scene when, she's rolling up in there, and this guy just walks in there and just totally uncalled for. Just hit that guy in the face. What did he do?
I know.
What did he do?
I know. But there's enough for everybody else to go like, all right, I'm out of here.
That was funny. I thought, you know what, that's a great way to handle the action. It's like, and Marvel has always done, I think, a great job of blending action with comedy. And here it's like, this to me where it felt the strongest. Because one, she's not really using her powers in this scene as they're fighting in the kitchen and things. But, I still enjoyed it. But then we, move past this scene right here. And we kind of go into the more showcasing her abilities, which I'm kind of mixed on. Belt. Is that Granddad from the Boondocks or something? Is he a Kree and we don't know about that? Yeah. That's all I thought when I'm watching this scene.
Well,
here.
that whole jumping up in the air and flipping backwards, I was like, she's running the table.
No.
Just whip it under there.
He just likes whipping the belt. Reminds him
the
beating up his...
acrobatics.
Yes.
So I was like, you guys have been alive for centuries doing this, and this girl who can't even use her powers is getting over on you. What is happening?
Well, that's also part of the other thing is, she's getting over on them, and they all get captured by damage control at the end. And it's like...
It's almost like when damage control showed up, they went... Well, okay.
Yeah, they just gave up. Even though you have like this weird sci-fi belt from Kree and everything else, Xandar.
Belt magic,
it's
I don't understand that guy's powers because they show another scene earlier where the dude busts out like a hammer from like his jacket or something. Like,
yes.
Is this technology? Is this magic or the Nor powers that they have too that gives you like all of your accessories now become weapons? Like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Very undefined.
It's undefined and it's weird. I mean, it's funny. It's definitely funny when you have this guy literally using a belt to try to whoop some people.
To jump up and flip backwards.
It's a very odd. It's a very odd move, but it's It's the weakest aspects of the series so far. And even though I'm interested to see, okay, what's going to be the grand overall connection between this and Captain Marvel, because Miss Marvel is going to also act as a prologue to Marvels, which is the other Phase 4 movie we've forgotten about, which is going to have Brie Larson, obviously the actress who plays Kamala Khan, and
Teyonah Parris.
That's right, from WandaVision, which I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. I wasn't the biggest fan of Captain Marvel, but I like this character a lot, and I liked Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau from WandaVision. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do. But so far,
we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, that's up in the air. Like, I'm loving all the, again, not saying this facetiously or sarcastically, I love all the Disney Channel stuff that they're doing here. I love the dynamic with the family and how they're showcasing Pakistani culture and her relationship with her old friends. I mean, there's other clips in here where I like her friend who's running for, council in the mosque. I think she's a great character.
Yeah.
And, so there's one criticism I have that I forgot to mention about the narrative is I'm just kind of, done with kids not telling parents what's actually going on. It's one of the things I loved about, we talk about Spider-Man, that I loved about the end of Homecoming is that Aunt May finds out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she's excited about it. And I'm sure she freaked out and was crying and everything.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, this is happening, so let's deal with it.
And she was supportive of him. And I don't know, I thought that was just refreshing because so often you have a secret identity. Everyone's like, oh, they perceive that people are going to be horrified. Maybe initially are, but then they could be supportive. And so I hate we're going for the rigmarole of all of this. Got to keep it secret.
This is what dramas, children are not. Where there's that, I'm not saying, I won't tell this person what it is. And it's like, if you tell them, not only can they learn, but our narrative can progress. You're holding us back just because the writers have decided you won't say something.
Yeah.
And look at how people are. People overshare all the time. Social media is run on people oversharing.
But not with your parents.
Right.
That's the only thing.
And I think that's been, we've gone through the MCU now for over 10 years, and where that's never really been a big story arc of, hiding your identity. Right from the first Iron Man film through now.
Right.
Yeah.
So why now, after all this time, we're going back to that trope? I was really expecting, after the wedding scene when Kamala's being called out, that she was just going to be I can't tell you, I'll show you, and then she just uses hard light to stand up or something.
Yeah, it's just gotten, I don't know. I'm not so annoyed at the show that it's doing it. It's just this is a trope I'm tired of seeing. Especially in superhero content in general. So, I mean, I think by the end her parents will find out, maybe even by the middle, because
I think it's the next episode.
Yeah,
because they're telling her she needs to go
Pakistan.
Back to Pakistan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So at that point she doesn't have a choice. There's no way her parents are going to just let her go, and she doesn't have any superhero friends who can afford a flight.
No, that's true. So, but yeah, I'm still really interested in the show. I still think it has a couple issues, but I am really liking it. It feels refreshing for the MCU and Marvel, and I like that they're showcasing children superheroes and stuff, not just Peter.
Competent.
It's now incompetent ones. Even with Kate Bishop. I like that. Clearly they're building towards the Young Avengers. Whether that's going to be
the champions.
Or it could be that, whichever superhero team they want to do. Kid Loki, Patriot, and Falcon Winter Soldier. Because Isaiah Washington's grandson. They have that because he's a super soldier serum in his blood. Kamala Khan and hell, maybe even Peter. Maybe even not this Peter, but Spider-Man Peter.
Yeah.
And plus he needs friends anyway. He's so alone, which would be cool. That this all leads to either a movie or a
that actually
series.
would be cool.
Yeah.
The Marvel Teen Titans.
Right. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, I'd pay $15 for
that. And in my head, I always thought Spider-Man would be the leader of them. Because he's the oldest of all those kids.
Yeah, no, that's what, because with the champions, it's Miles Morales, but since they haven't had that, and this Peter's still relatively young, he's older than them because he's college age.
Yep.
But yeah, he could be the leader.
Yeah, look up to him. I think that'd be cool. I mean, that'd probably be a deal. They got to work out with Sony or whatever, but again, there's the potential. But overall, I'm still enjoying this show. I would probably give it probably low full price at this point, but I don't know if you did ratings for the first 2 episodes.
I think we felt like with only 2 episodes, it was too hard to rate.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
This would still be, I don't know. It's still a matinee for me, almost a low matinee.
Okay.
Like I said, I watch it and I kind of enjoy it, but it's still too Disney.
Right.
And I'm not excited about it.
I understand. I get that. What about you, Vanny? Of these 3 episodes you've seen, what would you? I mean, think of it. I mean, it might be too early yet, but.
No, I think right now it's like I love the dramedy stuff. I would much rather see just Kamala Khan just go to school and just be a teenager versus her being a superhero at this point. So because of that, if the superhero aspect was more interesting, if the Jinn stuff was I think a little more fleshed out, I would be more interested in it. The power differences, they're turning her powers now into like a MacGuffin now. Like the bangle is now like the central point, which is driving me nuts. So with that, I mean, for me, it's also gonna be a matinee for it too. If it was just her life as a teenage girl, I'd give that a full price.
Okay.
Yeah. Just that other part of the show is just not where it needs to be yet.
All right. I feel like we're almost all on the same page to a degree. But, you know, at this point, I'm still interested in Ms. Marvel. Still want to see more.
The next episode could turn around.
Yeah. I hope it does.